Okay, and we're going to look at exposure of our image now, and there's a few different factors that affect the exposure of whatever we're shooting. And these are our ISO, our shutter speed, and the aperture of our lens. So we're going to run through those, and then we're going to look at a few assist features that we can use to make sure that we're all good. First of all, our ISO. Now, if we look at the bottom of the screen, if we press the number 5 button on the side of the camera, that brings up our ISO. And we can see that turn orange there. And if we use the joystick, we can move this down. And as we move down, it obviously goes darker. And as we move up, it goes brighter. The ISO basically determines how sensitive to light the sensor is. The higher you go up, the more likely you're going to get a lot of noise on your picture. So we want to keep it as low as possible, really. And on this camera, generally keep it around about 800 if possible, but if we need to put it up, that's absolutely fine. Then we have our shutter speed or shutter angle, depending on which one you want to use. There's two different versions really. So if we look on the bottom right hand side of our monitor, we press the number 6 button on the side of the camera where it says shutter. It shows 180 degrees. This is because at the moment I have the camera in shutter angle mode. If we go into our menu, press the menu button, and on this first page, if we knock across the tab 2, at the top we see shutter mode there, and if we click on the joystick, we have a few different options. The main ones we're interested in are speed and angle. So if we knock it up to speed instead, and then if we go back out, and then if we see where we just looked at the 180 degrees, it now says 1/50. Now this is really important. What we want with our shutter speed is we want that to be at least double the frame rate we're shooting in. So because we're shooting in 25 frames a second, we want our shutter speed to be at least 1/50th. So it's just double. And what this does, this gives us the most natural looking motion blur in movement. If we had it a lot higher, we'd get a very choppy effect. And we don't really want that. And if we had it a lot lower, then it would get this kind of weird, creamy, blurry, dreamy kind of look. And they're all great for any kind of creative uses, but for general shooting, we want to keep that 180 degree rule, which is double that frame rate. So if we were shooting in 50 frames a second to get some slow motion, we want to be in 100th of a second. So that's why I always stay in, if we go back to the menu, shutter angle at 180 degrees, because if I'm changing between 25 frames a second and 50 frames a second, I don't have to keep worrying about changing that shutter speed. The shutter angle is already changing that for me, so it's one less thing to worry about.